The finale of the Golden Bachelor Season 2 was not just a television episode. It was a quiet, emotional storm that reminded viewers that love doesn't expire with age. It simply transforms. This season, led by 66-year-old Mel Owens, brought with it a mix of warmth, humor, heartbreak, and reflection. For weeks, audiences watched Mel navigate the unfamiliar waters of televised romance, this time not among 20-somethings chasing fantasy, but among mature, seasoned hearts who've lived, lost, and learned. And when the finale aired, it became more than just a decision between two women. It was a meditation on what it really means to choose love later in life, when time feels precious, expectations are grounded, and authenticity matters more than drama. From the very beginning, Mel Owens stood out as a different kind of bachelor. A retired sports consultant with a calm demeanor and an easy smile, Mel carried himself not with the overconfident charm of youth, but with the steady energy of a man who's lived a full life and still believes there's one more great chapter left to write. His sincerity quickly won fans over. But it also created tension because with maturity comes self-awareness, and sometimes that awareness makes decisions harder, not easier. As the finale began, viewers were left with two final contenders: Cullers, a 60-year-old retired biomedical engineer with a sharp mind and a deeply romantic spirit, and Munson, a 62-year-old retired firefighter known for her resilience, humor, and calm. Both women represented different sides of love. Cindy's love was passionate and idealistic, while Peg's was grounded and nurturing. And in the end, those contrasts shaped everything that followed. The episode opened with a fantasy sweet date between Mel and Cindy. What should have been a romantic getaway turned into one of the most honest conversations the franchise has ever shown. Cindy, always articulate, asked Mel about his intentions, not in a dramatic, tearful way, but in the thoughtful tone of a woman who knows what she wants. She needed clarity about their future. Would Mel be ready for marriage soon, or was this relationship something more casual? Mel, caught in the middle of hope and hesitation, told her that while he cared deeply for her, he wasn't sure he could commit to marriage in the near future. He mentioned he might need 2 years before taking that step, and that's when Cindy realized they weren't aligned. In that moment, something remarkable happened. Instead of waiting for rejection or playing the typical bachelor waiting game, Cindy decided to leave. She looked at Mel and asked softly, "Is it okay if I leave now?" It wasn't bitter, it wasn't angry, it was powerful. She chose her self-worth over uncertainty. For a show often filled with dramatic exits, Cindy's departure felt graceful and real. Fans across social media immediately rallied behind her, calling her the real winner. Cindy's exit shifted the emotional tone of the finale completely. With one contestant gone, Mel was left with Peg, the woman who had, throughout the season, been his calm anchor. Peg wasn't the loudest or flashiest contestant, but she had something undeniable, a quiet strength and a deep understanding of partnership. Their connection was less fiery and more steady, like two people who had already learned how to weather storms. As the episode continued, Mel met Peg's family, her sons and grandchildren, and those scenes carried genuine warmth. They didn't talk about fame or cameras. They talked about trust, companionship, and shared values. When it came time for the final rose ceremony in Antigua, the setting couldn't have been more symbolic: golden sunlight, a soft breeze, and Mel standing there with a heart that seemed both heavy and hopeful. Peg arrived in a light-colored gown, radiant yet grounded, perfectly embodying who she is, someone who finds beauty in the simple and meaningful. What happened next surprised some viewers, but deeply moved others. Instead of the classic down-on-one-knee proposal, Mel presented Peg with a ring. Not an engagement ring, but a promise ring. He told her it symbolized his commitment to exploring their relationship at their own pace, without rushing into marriage just for television's sake. It wasn't the grand fairy tale moment many expected, but it was honest. Mel didn't perform for the cameras. He stayed true to himself, and that authenticity is what made the finale so memorable. Peg accepted the ring with tears in her eyes. The moment was quiet, emotional, and deeply human. She didn't get the dramatic "will you marry me" ending, but what she got was something far more real, a man willing to grow into love, not just fall into it. As the credits rolled, the couple held hands, watching the sunset, not as newlyweds, but as two mature souls beginning a new chapter together. In the days following the finale, fan reactions were divided. Some viewers felt underwhelmed, expecting a proposal after weeks of anticipation. Others, however, praised the show for showing what real love can look like beyond the cliches, patient, cautious, but genuine. Many fans also celebrated Cindy's decision to walk away as one of the classiest exits in Bachelor history. Social media was filled with comments like, "Cindy chose herself, and that's the kind of message women need to see on TV." Critically, the finale reflected the unique strength of The Golden Bachelor as a franchise. It's not about fantasy, it's about reality, even when that reality is uncomfortable. Mel Owens didn't chase a fairy tale ending because, in real life, fairy tales don't always come with diamond rings and perfect timing. Sometimes, love is about choosing honesty over perfection, and that's what made this season stand out. Beyond the romance, the finale also opened up conversations about aging, vulnerability, and companionship. In a world obsessed with youth and instant gratification, The Golden Bachelor dared to show that love stories at 60 or 70 can be just as thrilling, heartbreaking, and transformative as those at 25. Mel, Peg, and Cindy each represented different paths. One chose patience, one chose partnership, and one chose self-respect. Together, they painted a full picture of what modern love can be when ego steps aside and authenticity takes the lead. From a production standpoint, the finale was beautifully shot. The Caribbean setting, soft lighting, and gentle score gave the episode a peaceful tone that matched its emotional depth. There was no forced drama, no unnecessary confrontations. Instead, the pacing allowed viewers to sit with each conversation, to feel the silence and the pauses, something rare in reality TV. Another layer worth mentioning is the contrast between Season 1 and Season 2 of The Golden Bachelor. While Jerry Turner's season ended with a whirlwind engagement that quickly fizzled, Mel Owens' approach felt more grounded. He didn't rush, and his choice to offer Peg a promise ring instead of a proposal seemed to reflect lessons learned from the franchise's past. It was as if the producers, too, had matured, realizing that love stories can end in beginnings, not necessarily in weddings. As a reviewer, what stands out most about this finale is its honesty. The pacing might have felt slow for some, but the emotional realism made it resonate. The conversations between Mel and Cindy, and later between Mel and Peg, weren't scripted cliches. They were genuine exchanges between adults who've lived long enough to know what truly matters. That sincerity gave this finale a kind of emotional weight that younger Bachelor seasons rarely achieve. In terms of character development, Mel's journey came full circle. At the beginning of the season, he was nervous, still processing past heartbreak and learning how to open up again. By the finale, he had learned to communicate his fears and boundaries clearly. He didn't pretend to be ready for something he wasn't, and that vulnerability was brave. Cindy, on the other hand, demonstrated empowerment, showing millions of viewers that walking away is also a form of strength. Peg's role completed the emotional triangle. She represented acceptance, patience, and trust. As a viewer, you can't help but reflect on how refreshing it was to see adults handling love with maturity. There were no screaming fights, no jealousy-fueled meltdowns, just real conversations about compatibility, timelines, and values. And yet, the emotion was still raw. When Cindy said goodbye, it hurt. When Peg accepted the ring, it felt bittersweet. Those emotional contrasts made the finale deeply moving. Looking forward, the future of Mel and Peg remains uncertain, and that's okay. Unlike traditional reality TV endings that promise forever, this one acknowledged that love is a work in progress. The post-show updates revealed that Mel and Peg are still together, taking things slow, traveling, and spending time with family. There's no wedding date yet and no rush to set one. That kind of realism might not make tabloid headlines, but it makes their story believable. So, if you ask whether The Golden Bachelor Season 2 finale delivered, the answer is yes, absolutely. It may not have ended with a fairy tale proposal, but it gave us something far more lasting, a reminder that love, in all its imperfect beauty, is timeless. Whether you're 25 or 65, there's always a new beginning waiting, if you're willing to open your heart again.